This is Marta. Welcome to Hila Clock Podcast. Hello, sweet people. I hope you're doing well. And even if not, today we are going to find out why. Because we are talking about Vata today. And this also starts our little series on three dosha, meaning three doshas that are at the essence of Ayurvedic teachings. And I had an idea to pair every dosha with a song that I think reflect its qualities best. And I have this song from Jimi Hendrix that I used to listen passionately when I was a teenager. And today I looked at its lyrics and I went like, whoa, I think I know why this song always touches me so much, because I can relate to a lot of qualities of Vata dosha. So, okay, let's take a look at its lyrics. It goes like, well, she's walking through the clouds with a circus mind that's running wild. Butterflies and zebras and moonbeams and fairy tales, that's all she ever thinks about. Riding with the wind. When I'm sad, she comes to me with 1,000 smiles she gives to me free. It's alright, she says, it's alright. Take anything you want from me. Fly on, a little wing. That's a kind of a poetic entry for this episode, but it's also very accurate when we talk about Vata, because Vata is this force that gives us inspiration and creativity, and no music or art or poems would ever be created if it wasn't for the force of Vata. And in general, Vata is governing movement in the body, and it is the force in Ayurveda that is really responsible for all pains and aches, but it's also responsible for the movement of thoughts and emotions. So it may also create some psychological imbalances if it goes out of balance. And the most common symptoms of aggravated Vata is excess worry and anxiety. Vata is the force of wind that, as you already know, consists of elements of air and ether. And we also got to know other doshic elements of fire, water, and earth. And now imagine a wall of fire, that burning heat that such a wall would spread and create. And similarly, if you imagine a wall made out of earth or water, it would be dense, much more solid. Now Vata comes in and it only consists of space and air. So the wall that Vata would build would be very, very shallow and totally invisible, easy to walk through. And really everything comes easily through this kind of a wall. That's why Vata is one of the most fragile doshas, and it is very easy to throw it out of balance. But this has also its strengths, right? Because everything comes through. A person with a lot of Vata can be very receptive and empathetic. And after all, this sensitivity and ability to feel in is truly what's missing in the world today, in my opinion. And on the downside, of course, we have instability and insecurity that Vata puts us into. It is like that strong autumn wind that blows in all possible directions, and especially if directed incorrectly, can also cause a lot of damage. In Ayurveda, there is this estimation that almost 80% of all diseases are caused by increased Vata. Oh, and by the way, something that I think is important to mention, that truly, when we talk about doshas, and especially the trap that is easy to fall into when we start learning Ayurveda, is that we see the three doshas as three separate entities. Somehow, I've got this feeling. But doshas are nothing else but description of how prana moves and behaves. And prana as a universal life force is really everywhere. So are the doshas. And I think this problem comes from the fact that we were trained in a system that everything is separate, me from you, you from your phone that you might be touching right now, your brain separated from your heart, and so on. And this is what sounds most logical to us, but Ayurveda tries to teach us it is all prana. But because it has different qualities or densities, we perceive it as separate from each other. That's why when we talk about doshas, they are nothing else but the union of these bioenergetic forces or humors that has different expressions. But at the same time, they need to work with each other synergistically because one step above, they are one, just like everything else is one. And I know it's hard to wrap your head around it at the beginning, but yeah, eventually that's the ultimate goal of every being, to surpass what can be seen and experienced and raise above it. Similarly, when we think of meaning of the word dosha, the other meaning for it in Sanskrit is fault, defect, or mistake. So, like this, you can see it is not the highest, purest form of energy according to this ancient Vedic point of view. But all in one, long story short, Vata, just like other two doshas, is all pervasive, but especially it is everywhere where the mobility and the movement comes into play. So when we ingest food, for example, it needs to be moved on the digestive tract. Same with every breath. It needs to be moved through the lungs and distributed to all the cells. And because we already got to know the qualities of the wind, that is dry, mobile, and rough, we can already tell what's the Vata dosha like. And there is this Ayurvedic rule of like increases like. It means that the cold, dry, mobile qualities will disrupt Vata dosha. So you can think of dry foods, for example, or cool, windy weather, or traveling. And now, if you overdo one of these things, depending on how much Vata do you have in your original constitution, if the Vata is high there, you will tend to develop the Vata aggravation symptoms much quicker. And the quicker symptoms to appear are the digestive symptoms like ingestion, bloating, gas, constipation. I think many of us experience that acutely when we travel because Vata needs rhythm and it gets imbalanced when the routine is lost. Then it needs these opposite qualities of water and earth, the qualities of kapha that make her feel safe and grounded. And it also needs the warmth of the fire element. Otherwise, the winds will continue blowing, and if they do for too long, they will consequently bring the other doshas out of balance because Vata is the only dosha that has this quality to push other doshas around, and this is also why it is a primary cause for the disease in so many cases. Then again, depending on the original constitution, we become spacey, less concentrated, forgetful, and anxious. And too much mental activity may cause not only digestive troubles, but also trouble sleeping, wakefulness. These are all the symptoms of aggravated Vata. And on the other hand, it comes with a benefit because it's easy to bring Vata out of balance. It is also fairly easy to bring it back to balance. And we already mentioned it gets harmonized by opposite qualities. So if you see the symptoms of aggravated Vata in your body and mind, try to introduce a more regular routine into your life. And most importantly, don't be afraid of warm foods and healthy fats like ghee or butter that really lubricate the Vata from inside because it's dry, right? So it needs this lubrication. And ideally, your every meal should be warm, mushy, and anxious because it really soothes the digestive system with too much Vata in it. Additionally, you can start oleating your body on the outside as well. And here, sesame oil is really good for Vata because it is warming. So, putting it on your feet before going to bed will really make a big difference for the quality of your sleep. Then the whole body massage with a warm oil could be even better because it simply takes the attention from the mind back to the body, and this is what Vata really, really needs, the grounding. And because the Vatas always have a lot of mental activity going on, everything that is gentle form of movement and self-care will also work very well for them. Now, if you would like to find out if you have excess Vata, you can check out the podcast links for the episode 8. We also talked about all three doshas there, and I can't wait to be back next week with a Pitta episode. Okay, and visit the show notes at healclog.com and listen to the theme song of today that I mentioned at the beginning. And maybe you start to observe what does it do to your vata if it moves it a little bit. So if you naturally have a lot of vata, you probably going to notice something going on. Okay, until then, sending you lots of love and good vibes wherever you are. Take care. Bye bye.